Hi everyone, and welcome to the Financial Argument Channel. Did you know that since February, 1 out of every 4 Americans has gone to a food bank or skipped meals due to a lack of money? Yes, this is unfortunately true. I would like to mention that we have very little time left in this oncoming economic collapse. The end result of this situation may be starvation for some, and this is a critical issue. Additionally, the gap between the rich and poor widens every single day. In other words, the rich get richer and the poor are poorer than ever before. The intent of this video isn't to blame billionaires, but in a situation where ordinary people have already started going hungry, we have to examine the roots of our current problems and discuss the billionaires who have added about $500 billion to their wealth, because this is the Financial Argument Channel. I'm going to share several crucial facts with you regarding income injustice in the United States and the world. In this context, we know that authorities only care about zombie companies and focus on inflating the stock market bubble. It's clear they don't care about ordinary people and small enterprises, half of which are about to close their doors forever. We all know that income and wealth disparities have existed in all periods of human history, but the level of economic injustice has never been as high as it's been in the past 20 to 30 years, and the distance between the haves and have-nots continues to grow. What's the reason behind this? Could you have ever imagined the events of the past few months with unemployment skyrocketing and income injustice drastically increasing at the same time? Before answering these questions, I want to acknowledge that many of us have been hit hard by the situation of mass unemployment and the current economic crisis. Well, most of us have been deeply affected by the recession, but there are some people who've added millions or even billions to their fortunes, meaning not only that they're not affected, but that they've made even more money while the rest of us are suffering. Jeff Bezos, the founder of Amazon, Bill Gates, the founder of Microsoft, Mark Zuckerberg, the founder of Facebook, Warren Buffett, the guru investor, Larry Ellison, and others have significantly benefited during our current economic crisis. Their combined wealth surged by $75.5 billion, which is a 19% increase in their wealth. These 5 guys represent about 21% of the total wealth of all 600 U.S. billionaires. Another important note is that Amazon and Facebook alone grew by nearly $60 billion. So there are some primus inter pares, Latin for first among equals as well. These guys are the wealthiest at the moment. However, there are also billions of other people who are not that wealthy. At the moment, the U.S. government is sending stimulus paychecks to its poor citizens in order to boost the economy. You should know that unemployment is strongly correlated with income injustice as well. Additionally, small businesses that possess less than 500 employees constitute almost half of all businesses. Research conducted in April shows that 52% of these small businesses are about to shut down. This means that the current state of mass unemployment will be permanent, which is a complete disaster for the U.S. economy. The number of homeless people is also increasing each day. A study in the U.S. shows that homelessness could grow 45% this year due to the collapse of the last few months. If people cannot make money due to unemployment, how will they pay their rent, loans, or other debts? It's clear that the ongoing crisis is worse than the one that occurred in 2007 and 2008. People have lost their jobs, and more importantly, the risk of losing their homes is rising in relation to this, due to the debt bubble. Moreover, most government support will end in the month of July, which is very near. How will these unemployed people fund their expenditures? The Paycheck Protection Program was essential to keep small businesses open and delivered a total amount of around $510 billion. Therefore, the emergency support from the CARES Act was key in assisting desperate people. Yet most of these support programs are also about to expire in the very near future. The Fed can print money as much as it desires to stimulate the economy. We know this. Nevertheless, is it a real solution to boost the economy? For sure, people across America should not be left behind. High rates of poverty are strongly associated with higher crime rates and other illegal activities. Thus, governments must support their citizens. However, printing money is not the only way to support individuals and companies. More importantly, bailing out zombie companies is not a good solution right now. I mentioned that there are significant economic disparities and income injustice in the U.S. The Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development, or OECD, is an international organization that gathers economic statistical data from its members. Using this data, the OECD developed the Gini Index to measure and compare injustice within and between countries. The Gini Index isn't the sole method of gauging income injustice, but it's one of the most used methods. The Gini Index has a coefficient between 0 and 1. The closer the Gini coefficient gets to 1, the more distorted the income relationship. The closer it is to 0, the more equitable the income distribution. With that in mind, please note that each year the Gini Index in the United States has gotten closer to 1. For example, in 1976, the Gini coefficient was 34.6. In 2016, it was 41.4 according to the St. Louis Fed. This data is not announced each year. Maybe the World Bank is afraid of the increase. We'll soon see the reality of the situation. Let's continue with some other statistics. The richest 0.1% in the U.S. take in 196 times as much income as the bottom 90%. Also, the wages and salaries of the top 1% of employees goes up every year, but families in poverty never get the chance to increase their income. Thus, between 1968 and 2018, the top 1% has doubled its income, while the poverty rate is held steady. The same goes for income growth as well. The chart makes it obvious that the income of the top 1% of America's households has increased nearly 7 times faster than the income of the bottom 20%. I could provide more stats, but I think this is enough data. The numbers, charts, and research are clear. It's not possible to live in this country and not feel the gap. Yet the Fed bails out zombie companies, helping them survive. The same can be said for the Treasury as well. Due to this improper fund usage, stock prices rise every single day. Investors think the Fed is always going to print money to save the stock market, so prices go higher than expected. Stocks may rise, but if this is not supported by the real sector, then it's only a bubble. I talked about this issue in my last couple of videos, which you should watch for more details. Speaking of the Fed printing money, this chart illustrates the financial statement of the Fed. The left side, in green, shows the amount of money printed from 1913 to 2008. The middle part, in pink, shows the amount printed between September 1, 2008 and January 1, 2020. Finally, the right-hand side, in black, shows the amount of money that has been printed since January 1st of 2020. Isn't it obvious? Meanwhile, the federal minimum wage is only $7.25 per hour, and around 30% of American workers make less than $10.10 per hour. This is well below the federal poverty line. People who work as cashiers, drivers, or in the fast food industry are often low paid. Maybe you are also an employee earning less than $10 an hour. Worldwide, income injustice is very high and rising. According to the World Inequality Report of 2018, inequality is rising or remaining extremely high nearly everywhere. This includes Gini coefficient as well as follows. India, for instance, is one of the most populous countries in the world. Income inequality there has almost doubled compared to its position in the 1980s. Russia's inequality is another significant indicator, as it's more than doubled between 1990 and today. China is no different. From 1980 to today, the income inequality rate rose similar to other countries. This information can only be measured looking backward, and these statistics mostly show data from before 2020. Don't forget that starting from 2020, we've been facing an economic collapse. In time, you'll see that today's economic crisis will lead to a huge breakdown that can be measured in charts and stats. The world is now suffering from a crisis that hasn't been seen in the last 100 years. It's clear that the current situation is even worse than the Great Depression. The economic data is getting worse every day compared to previous announcements and expectations. This isn't just my opinion. There are a few experts and economists who will tell the truth. All in all, income injustice has been growing every single year. The stats also show that the poor get poorer and the rich get richer. The first months of 2020 also spurred on the current corrupt system. This is absolutely unsustainable. For this reason, not only economic catastrophes such as the current collapse, but also humanitarian crisis, widespread homelessness, hunger, unemployment, and economic injustice will continue to occur until a new and fair global order is constructed. I work hard to present you with the real facts. Therefore, I thank you for your support of Financial Argument. If you have questions regarding any subject related to the current crisis, please ask it in the comments section. See you in the next video.